And apart from Bill Clinton getting a blowjob in the pool or, Donald Trump with a bunch of pictures of models, which are not underage, there's nothing here. Of course, there's more that needs to be released, but unfortunately, sometimes the hardest thing to accept is that there's just nothing. That's not covering up for pedophiles. That's not me being a Trump loyalist. It is just reality. Now, let me be very frank. I do not believe Kash Patel or Dan Bongino when they say that, Epstein killed himself or that the only person that he trafficked young girls to was himself. Obviously, that's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. But until the evidence is released to the public, all we can go off of is hearsay. Now, there's something that I did come across that I found very, very interesting that not a lot of people are talking about. I've been studying these documents thoroughly. And of course, most of it's just redacted bullshit that we can't see the names of the people or the victims involved, which you shouldn't. And that's usually by court order. It has nothing to do with the Department of Justice or Donald Trump himself. However, there's a name that routinely keeps popping up, who's somebody I really didn't know much about. I've heard the name before, but this is very bizarre. Mark Middleton. Now, Donald Trump is only mentioned on the flight logs about 2 times, and it's actually not to the island. It's from New York to Mar-a-Lago. But there's a name that flew with him, and it's kind of hidden on the right side. I'm going to put it on screen. Mark Middleton. Who is Mark Middleton? This is where things get a little bizarre. He was special assistant and longtime friend to President Bill Clinton back in the 90s, and ironically, committed suicide back in 2022, so just 3 years ago. He was found hanging by electrical cord on a tree and a shotgun shell through the chest, and that was somehow ruled a suicide. Sounds like he got Clinton suicided. I mean, that's quite an extraordinary way to commit suicide. There's definitely nothing suspicious about this situation. So like I said, there's really not much to go on, but this Mark Middleton thing is very, very interesting. Will anything transpire from this? Probably not. Will anybody be arrested? Probably not. We'll see when the next batch of documents gets released by the DOJ. Dan Bongino stepping aside is obviously very interesting as well. Dan, I believe, would be sworn to secrecy, so he can't just go back on his show and start spewing names that he redacted in the documents. It's just by law, he cannot do that. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. I hope every single person, Republican, Democrat, Center, everybody is held accountable who did weird things with children on the island. Period. If you enjoyed that clip, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks.